Ladies and gentlemen, many of you might have heard already that Trump has been in a very foul mood lately, and he's blaming everything on his aides, including the decision for him not to go to the cemetery because of the rain. Well, they give another reason in here about the timing of him getting there and all this nonsense. So it's just a bunch of excuses. And he's upset over the backlash, among other things. That's going on. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, this just goes to show you this is really a blueprint of how Trump ran things. As I stated before, this is a trust fund baby. He doesn't know a damn thing about running businesses. What he does, he hires a whole bunch of people to be the foot soldiers for him. And anybody that says yes to him all the time, those are the kind of people that work for him. But he doesn't do any actual work himself. And you can see the condition of the White House. And now you got the First Lady doing things that are completely inappropriate for her to do, coming on the forefront. It's a mess. Now you're talking about another shakeup where people are coming and going like a revolving door. Trump seriously cannot keep people. He can't. And as you can see, people hate working for this man. How many people have you seen come public and say they love working for Trump? Zero. And you won't see none. And if you do see one come forward, I'll have to wonder how much they're being paid to say it. But let's get into this story from CNN. November 14th, 2018, Trump's mood takes a foul turn. He's pissed at damn near everyone. All right. So they said at the White House, aides are scrambling. There's a lot of infighting going on behind the scenes. And this is a week after the midterms. They said his mood changed very quickly. Like he started out, I guess, in a bright mood. And then when he saw that the Democrats took the House, they said everything came to a quick halt. They said his whole demeanor, his whole mood had changed. Now, it's saying right here, yes, he's pissed at damn near everyone, the White House officials say, noting the mood in the Oval Office is darker than normal this week. After a month straight of campaigning before adoring crowds and applause has gone silent and the president has retreated, the tempest has led to rampage speculation inside the building about fates of other senior staffers, some of whom are beginning to plan their exits. Now, if you know, one of his targets is John Kelly, and that's another person that the First Lady has complained about. Apparently, she has made recommendations on who should be promoted, and John Kelly has pretty much ignored her. So that has caused a lot of problems between Melania and John Kelly. Plus, she did something very inappropriate. She demanded that a senior aide be let go. And that is not the role of the First Lady at all. That is the job of somebody like John Kelly, who is the chief of staff. So friends of the president described him as embittered by the election losses and troubled by the Mueller investigation. He met Monday with his lawyers to go over a series of written questions from the special counsel. Some of his longtime confidants are worried for his health, believing he's gained weight and looks unwell. Well, having McDonald's on a regular basis and 12 Diet Cokes, I don't think that's good for you. I think sooner or later that's going to catch up to you. The timing of the president's fury could be worse considering the White House is heading into uncharted territory with Democrats assuming control of the House. And that, along with a lot of infighting, is causing the friction that you're looking at. Trump has told some advisors he's itching for a fight, believe it can provide him a political foil. Meanwhile, special counsel Robert Mueller is inching closer to issuing a report on the Russia investigation. So he's winding this up. Trump knows that the Mueller investigation is about to come to an end, which means there's a report coming out. He doesn't know what's in that report, and you know he's on edge about it. So it was a 24-word statement from the East Wing where the First Lady and her small staff work about a presidential advisor that revealed how the dysfunction inside the White House is deeper and more entangled than previously known. It's a position of the Oval Office First Lady that she no longer deserves the honor. So she's talking about that Mira Ricardel that worked for John Bolton. And she pretty much got pushed out while John Bolton was overseas. And while he was overseas, he was making, they said, a series of phone calls to see if he could delay her firing, her being pushed out. But it was to no avail. And she is apparently somebody that has worked for him for a long time. So he couldn't save her. And the First Lady seems to want a few people out. So he's also furious with Kelly for the trip to Paris that ended in a public relation debacle. And of course, he's blaming everybody for the fact that he did not go to that cemetery to honor the soldiers. And he's also blaming another senior staffer for the decision. So you mean to tell me, Trump, you don't do any of your own thinking? So first it was a time issue, a travel issue, and then it was the rain. So now all of these other excuses are coming out on why he did not go to honor the World War I soldiers. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, wow, it's snowing here in New Jersey. I just happened to look out my window. It's snowing. By the way, those of us that study history, the Buffalo Soldiers and the Harlem Hellfighters are also in that cemetery over in Paris. After his wife ordered the astounding statement, which was very inappropriate. That's not for the First Lady to do. That is handled by the Chief of Staff. But being that she and John Kelly are not getting along, that's not working out so well. And it's saying that Trump was actually blindsided by what the First Lady did. And people are concerned that because of this incident, he looks like a bossed around husband. The president's mood was dark and intense after officials said he was blindsiding by aides who do not report to him. So yeah, this is looking bad. This is the woman that Melania Trump complained about, said she was a bully during her Africa trip. And this woman was apparently fighting with many of the people on Melania's staff, and she wanted her fired. So she's been removed from her post, but they said she would remain on the White House staff, but in another role. So she's going to be given something different to do. People familiar with the situation said the First Lady and her aides sought to take issue with McCardell through appropriate channels for weeks, including Kelly, but nothing came of their concerns. Other officials said tensions between the First Lady and Ricardel stems from more than just the Deputy National Security Advisor handling of her Africa trip, noting friction had developed over Ricardo's how she treated administrative staff. So they said she's like a very bully, aggressive kind of person. But look, she works for John Bolton. He probably advised her to be that way. Okay. So here's where Bolton was 10,000 miles away when his aide was pushed out. He was in Singapore with Vice President Pence, working against a 12-hour time difference. Aides traveling with the national security advisors made furious calls to their colleague back in Washington in an attempt to figure out what was going on and potentially stall Ricardo's firing, but it didn't work. They pushed her out already. So she's no longer in that position because of the First Lady. And they didn't say what her new role in the White House would be. So this also goes over a lot of dysfunction between the West Wing staffer, and they said these folks just don't get along. It just seems like Trump has a staff full of people in that White House that don't like each other at all. They don't like each other, and they're saying there's a lot of fighting with the advisors and the staff in the West Wing. They don't get along, and it's been dysfunctional for nearly 2 years of the Trump presidency. And ladies and gentlemen, this just shows you, like I said, this is a blueprint to how Trump ran businesses. It's always chaotic. There's no order. Everything's disorganized, a lot of infighting, So now it has been very public that the First Lady and Trump wants a shakeup. Now, John Kelly had anticipated staying until 2020, but that may not happen now, that all of this information is about him not getting along with the First Lady, and Trump is no longer happy with Kelly. Jeff Sessions got pushed out, and looked like the next person that Trump wants to push out is John Kelly. He wants him gone. He wants John Kelly gone so badly that he is talking to potential replacements right in John Kelly's face. So Nick Ayers is one. He had somebody else in mind. And some people are saying if he picks Johnny DiStefano, that other people on the staff said they are leaving. They will not work with him. Again, showing they don't get along. And Nick Ayers is another one that they're considering, and he works for Mike Pence. He's Mike Pence's chief of staff. And they're talking about promoting him to John Kelly's position. In fact, Ivanka and Jared get along very well with Nick Ayers. And they are the ones that are trying to get Trump to replace Kelly with Nick Ayers. Now, the president, of course, is trying to put out in the press that the White House is not chaotic. And I can tell you, whenever Trump comes forward with a statement like that, you can best believe it is chaotic in the White House. And it's saying that the more people keep speculating that John Kelly will be gone, the more Trump will keep him around just to prove the press wrong. I don't believe that. I think if he really wants him gone, Kelly will be out of there before 2020. Trump's foul mood, meanwhile, has rendered the White House, so it's making the workplace very difficult for many people right now. And it's saying that there are a lot of outbursts coming from Trump, which is starting to become commonplace in the White House. The decision to scrap a planned visit to an American cemetery in France because of the rain over the weekend only deepened the president's conviction that he's being misserved by some staffers. So they're trying to put that decision on a chief of staff member by the name of Zach Futes. It said now he's making up the excuse that Trump was too far away from the cemetery and he would never have made it there on time. And of course, Trump said it was the rain. So who knows what it really was, ladies and gentlemen, but he didn't make it there to honor the American soldiers. And it looked bad. And a lot of people are angry with Trump for skipping out on that part of his trip. So when Trump realized that there was a public backlash from him not honoring the soldiers and making it to the cemetery, he went to the U.S. ambassador over there in Paris and said he had a meltdown on him, blaming him for everything, told him that he did a poor job with his trip. And, you know, Trump, everything is somebody else's fault, but never his fault. Instead, Trump grumbled that he was kept away from the action back home, which means what he's talking about is the election recount. So that just goes to show you his heart was not really in being in France. He really wanted to be back at home while the recount for the midterms was going on. I mean, that's pretty shitty. Your president putting the recount above honoring the soldiers. Way to go, Trump, putting that out there. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, things are not looking good. And another thing that I thought was inappropriate, if you go back and look at Melania's trip to Africa, which there were a lot of missteps in that too, but she had said that there were a lot of people in the White House, something to the nature where there were people in the White House that could not be trusted. And I think that was really inappropriate. And she should not have said that out in public, but she did. And, you know, of course, people are now speculating about what's going on in the White House. And even if Trump wanted to keep this quiet, as you can see, it's being leaked out all over the place to the press that there are a lot of problems among his administration, ladies and gentlemen. And like I said, if this was a really good businessman, his house would be in order. It would not be in chaos. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen, about all of these events that are coming out in the news about Trump and his staff and the First Lady. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I will see you on the next video. Peace, family.